All right, America, gather round. It's time for a thought experiment that might just blow your mind. Let's talk about Canada, eh? Our friendly neighbor to the north, known for its stunning landscapes, polite people, and maple syrup. Well, hypothetically at least. Imagine, if you will, a world where Canada wasn't just our friendly neighbor to the north, but our 51st state. A place where the borderlines blur and the two nations become one. It sounds crazy, right? Like a plot from a sitcom where a moose walks into a Walmart? But let's entertain this wild idea for a moment. This outlandish idea actually stems from a statement made by then-President-elect Donald Trump back in 2025 regarding potential tariffs on Canadian products. His words sparked a flurry of speculation and what-ifs. Now, the likelihood of Canada actually becoming a state is about as high as a Canadian saying a boot unironically. It's a fun thought, but not grounded in reality. But for the sake of argument, and because we love a good data deep dive, let's see how Canada would actually stack up as the 51st state. What would the economic, social, and political implications be? Would it be a powerhouse like California, contributing significantly to the national GDP, or struggle like Mississippi, facing economic challenges? The data might surprise you. First up, let's talk money, honey. In terms of raw GDP, Canada's economy is no slouch. It would rank as the fourth largest state, right behind economic behemoths like California, Texas, and New York. Canada pulling its weight economically? Not surprising, they do love their ice hockey and maple syrup, both billion-dollar industries. However, before we start planning the victory parade of moose-drawn carriages down Pennsylvania Avenue, let's look closer. When it comes to GDP per capita, a measure of economic output per person, Canada's shine dulls a bit. In fact, it would rank lower than every single U.S. state except for Mississippi. Oof. Turns out having a massive landmass and a comparatively smaller population can skew those per-person figures. Now let's talk trade, because no man or country is an island. The US and Canada are already each other's biggest trading partners, like two neighbors who constantly borrow cups of sugar and lawnmowers. In 2023, a whopping 77% of Canada's exports went to the US, and 63% of their imports came from, you guessed it, the good old US of A. The US also relies heavily on Canada, with 17% of its exports heading north, and 13.5% of its imports coming from Canada. So yeah, we're pretty much joined at the hip, economically. Becoming the 51st state would just make this codependent relationship official. Section 4, a tale of two safety nets, gun violence and healthcare. Let's move on to a more sensitive topic, safety, specifically, gun violence. This is an issue that has plagued many communities and continues to be a hotly debated topic across the nation. Now, America, we know this is a touchy subject. It's one that evokes strong emotions and opinions from all sides. But it's crucial to look at the facts and understand the impact it has on our society. But the numbers don't lie. Statistics show a stark contrast between the US and other countries when it comes to gun violence. Canada has significantly lower rates of gun ownership and gun violence compared to the US. This difference is not just a minor gap, it's a substantial divide that highlights different approaches to gun control. In fact, Canada's gun ownership rate is about half of even the lowest US state. And the homicide rate? It's a fraction of what we see here. Canada's is less than a third of the US average. This stark difference raises questions about the effectiveness of our policies and the cultural factors at play. It seems our neighbors up north prefer settling their differences over a friendly game of hockey rather than, with firearms. This cultural approach to conflict resolution is something we could learn from. Now, on to another hot-button issue, healthcare. Just like gun violence, healthcare is a topic that stirs up a lot of debate and strong feelings. Canada has a universal healthcare system which to some Americans sounds scarier than a double-double from Tim Hortons after a night of poutine. But is it really that frightening? But here's the thing, Canadians have longer life expectancies than Americans. Coincidence? We think not. Their healthcare system, despite its flaws, seems to contribute to a healthier, longer life for its citizens. Section 5, Living Longer, Learning More, Education and Longevity. In this section, we explore the fascinating link between education and longevity, and how these two factors interplay in Canada and the United States. Speaking of living longer, Canada also boasts a higher life expectancy than the US. This isn't just a small difference, it's a significant gap that has intrigued researchers for years. Canadians live an average of 81.7 years, while Americans trail behind at 77 years. This 4-year difference raises questions about lifestyle, healthcare, and perhaps even the educational systems in both countries. Now, there are probably many factors at play here, from diet to healthcare access. Canada's universal healthcare system and emphasis on preventive care might be contributing to this longevity. But hey, maybe all that fresh Canadian air and maple syrup are doing something right. The natural environment and quality of life in Canada certainly seem to play a role. And it seems Canadians are not just living longer, they're also learning more. Education is a key factor in improving quality of life and extending lifespan. A whopping 58% of Canadian adults have college degrees, compared to a measly 36% in the US. This higher level of education could be linked to better health outcomes and longer life expectancy. If Canada were a state, it would be top of the class, leaving the rest of us looking like we spent our school years stuffing maple-glazed donuts in our lockers. The combination of higher education levels and better health outcomes makes Canada a fascinating case study in the link between education and longevity. Section 6, the Canadian difference beyond the numbers. But let's be real, folks. Numbers can only tell us so much. The true essence of a nation or a potential state lies in its people and its spirit. And Canadians, well, they're a different breed. They apologize profusely even when it's your fault. They wear toques in the winter, which are like knitted hugs for your head. And they genuinely seem to enjoy the company of geese, which is both admirable and slightly concerning. This unique Canadian spirit, with its emphasis on politeness, inclusivity, and a deep-seated love for hockey, would undoubtedly leave its mark on American culture. We might even see a surge in flannel sales and a nationwide shortage of maple syrup. Section 7. Conclusion. More than just a maple leaf on the flag, so, what have we learned from this thought experiment? Well, it's clear that Canada, hypothetical 51st state or not, is a force to be reckoned with. It boasts a strong economy, a well-educated population, and a commitment to social well-being that many Americans envy. Would it be a perfect addition to the Union? Of course not. No country is. But one thing's for sure, having Canada as our 51st state would certainly make things interesting. And hey, who knows, maybe we could finally convince them to share their healthcare secrets. Just imagine a world where a trip to the emergency room doesn't result in financial ruin. Now that's an American dream worth striving for.